Hey everybody, how are you all doing tonight? This is Dr. Dana Martin, your host of the TheSithDominion podcast, and we have on tonight the same group we had last week, continuing our Darth Vader quest and journey through his wonderful life. Not It's a Wonderful Life, but his wonderful life. Cam, thanks for joining tonight. I think we'll talk about are you back at home yet?
No, I'm still traveling, visiting family. So,
Oh my goodness.
but,
So
yeah,
awesome. We'll swing back around to that. Debbie, how are you doing this evening?
Doing fine.
That's it. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, when she does talk, we listen. There's not much words, but they are important. And Darth Zane, David, how are you doing this evening?
I got to go back to work tomorrow, so I'm just like, eh.
Yeah. So you'll be like me right now, tomorrow evening. But you don't have a show. Oh yeah, you have a show that you got to get up for too. Nope.
Nope.
Y'all canceled your show for?
We're done until the 8th. We don't come back until the 8th.
I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah.
Why did I start a 3-part series over the holiday then?
I don't know. We took a vacation.
I
was
You're the
gonna-
boss.
I appreciate you guys being here then, because
I was about to take I was honestly considering taking the entire month of December off,
oh my
to
goodness.
be honest with you. But
I probably should have stopped at
I-
20 and the cliffhanger for next year, right?
I couldn't leave Debbie hanging like that though.
Ah.
This is my life. It's all I have to look forward to.
Tuesday nights are what I live for. Oh my goodness. So let's kind of catch up. So Christmas was yesterday, and who knows how many folks are actually going to be around to watch live. But if you are out there, please get engaged and jump in the chat, and we'll talk with you. But Cam, you're still out and about, right?
oh yeah. So we'll probably be in Huntsville for the rest of the week. So
Cool.
yeah,
That's not too far of a drive, though.
no, it's not too bad. Just kind of making the rounds. I played 18 holes of golf today, so that was
Oh my.
fun.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I absolutely would have been where you were. Jeez. Deb, how was your Christmas holiday?
Good. Went down to my oldest son's house and spent it with the kids, and that was it.
David, you got a nice shiny headset, I see.
Brand new. I'm wireless now, so I can if I have to leave my computer, I can still hear what Debbie's talking about me.
Damn
Yeah,
it, now I can't talk behind his back.
That's right.
Remember that Leslie Nielsen was on a hot mic in the restroom in Naked Gun. Just not
Yes.
be careful with that, David.
Yeah,
very good
yeah.
hot mic. I had a great time. Zane was here. He left yesterday, and I'm actually keep looking over my shoulder, checking the score. He's over there watching Texas State right now. Put the herd on Rice. So sorry for all you Rice heads out there. Rice heads. I don't know. Okay, let's move on. It's been quite a crazy couple of weeks in, I guess, news in general, right? We've got another list, and I don't think I put the link in here, and I don't know where it is, but they put a new kind of list out of what made the cut and what wasn't. And I wanted to ask about Andor because I didn't see. I saw something about it in the article, but I didn't read it. So did any of y'all see that yet?
It's delayed till 25.
Oh,
Yeah. We talked about that on Thursday.
Okay.
Last Thursday, yeah. I think there's 4 shows scheduled for 24, and that's Bad Batch Season 2, Tales of the Jedi, Acolyte, and Skeleton Crew.
Cool.
Yeah.
So pushing Andor and
Buffy.
pushing Ray's movie too.
I don't know. That was just the TV shows, so I don't know if the movies got bumped or not.
I got all excited, man. I got clickbaited in, man. I saw this like new trailer for whatever Star Wars.
Acolyte. Yeah,
Or-
the Acolyte trailers have been making the rounds.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was
The
getting a trailer.
Yeah.
It was a fan doing some. I mean, great. That's what we do. It's fan stuff. But come on, man. Don't say that.
It looks good, but don't put official in the title. Come on.
Yes.
Um,
So, oh man, what else? So we had, what was I doing where I got kind of crazy? Oh, so did you see that Empire Strikes Back, Lawrence Kasdan, right, was the writer there?
Mhm.
And you guys maybe already knew this, but he was very instrumental in developing how Vader's presence, why it was so much more intense on Empire than it even was in Star Wars. I didn't know that. There was a documentary attached to one of the VHSs that now you have to YouTube to find type thing, where they were talking about that. And I wanted to see what y'all's thoughts were about when it comes to from episode New Hope to Empire Strikes Back. Did you guys kind of feel that there was a definite change in intensity of this character's villainous appeal or approach?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Even growing up as a kid, I noticed it, and even you could look at like for me just as a young kid, as single digits, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, right? You would watch it and you would look at. I always looked at A New Hope and said, Vader's not really the main bad guy in this. Vader's just kind of a lackey there. He's like the hired gun kind of thing. He's just the muscle, because Tarkin's really the one that's the bad guy. And and then you get into Empire, and Vader's body count rises an awful lot, and the one guy he killed in A New Hope, it was, he was angry, and you could tell because he throws him and he screams, "Bring me the passengers! I want them alive!" But then in Empire, it's more like he's just kind of calm, cool, and collect. It was more of a sinister meanness. It was more of a I don't know how to describe it. More of almost like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, where he's evil, but he's not like angry.
He's evil. He's more in control of his emotions.
Yeah, and kind of taking that angle, would you say that him not being able to shoot down that rebel pilot before he blew up the Death Star pissed him off? I mean, he's the best starfighter in the galaxy, right? And then this kid, who is this kid? He was just pissed off. And you see that, I think, in Empire, the hallway, where he's just slicing the hallway to bits. They added that in that fan film. We were talking about the fan film stuff of what maybe could have been between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader. I know y'all probably seen that. And they added that little hallway piece. And I wanted to touch on that because in Revenge of the Sith, you have a hallway scene with Obi-Wan, and Vader's just tearing up the hallway. I know that's your favorite, right, Cam? Do you have any comments on that scene and how it compares? And is that something you think they were trying to connect?
Yeah, I think so. I think, that's probably one of my favorite scenes. I love when lightsaber battles in tight hallways and you just hear the lightsaber hitting the wall and and you can tell just how hard, it definitely feels like in that fight, they're actually trying to hit each other, and Obi-Wan's just doing all he can to just kind of make sure he doesn't get hit with the lightsaber versus them just swinging swords at each other, But I think that fan film they did of A New Hope with the Ben and Darth Vader fight, I think that was a good tie-in. So I watch that probably at least once or twice a month. So
it's cool. It's cool. Debbie, what do you think about that connection, or Empire in general being more sinister Vader that we got?
Yeah, the fan film, or at least of that particular scene, made definitely more of a connection. Of course, in 77, they just didn't have the choreography.
Right.
But, for what it was back in the day, it was great. We didn't complain about it back then. But, it definitely does not hold up too well. I mean, you still have a little bit of that tension, but the fan film one definitely shows a lot more than what we got originally. And as far as the Empire's concerned, yeah, I think Vader was more in control. He's not under the thumb of Tarkin, which, Dave kind of mentioned in the first film. He's not under the thumb of Tarkin. He's not the lap boy.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting that you brought up Tarkin because, again, good segue. Vader doesn't seem like the type that one would like the leash just based on his history as Anakin Skywalker. And two, how is it that he was just okay to Tarkin? What do you think he was just biding his time till Tarkin was gone because he had his own plans, or was he genuinely serving the Emperor and the Empire?
I think it was Oh, go ahead.
Maybe lap boy is not a good word. Because if I remember from the books, they both had great respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why Vader was kind of maybe a yes man. I don't know. But in the book Tarkin, I believe it talks a lot about their respect for each other.
Sure. David, you were gonna.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I like to think that it was just he was that loyal to the Emperor. He was. It was the same kind of scenario when Episode 1 came out, and you've got Sidious there, and he's telling, "I'm sending my apprentice Darth Maul to come to you." I was like, "Oh, it's the exact same thing." The Trade Federation's in control; they're the one running things. Maul is just there to make sure that things go according to plan. Right. And I think Vader was the same way. And honestly, I don't think Vader wanted any part of the Death Star because he even said it as much himself where he says, "Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've created. The ability to destroy a planet." That's like my favorite scene in like the entire every Star Wars. I don't know why that meeting is just for some reason, just the way the lines are, the way everything's delivered. "I find your lack of faith disturbing." I mean, just everything about that scene from start to finish. I'm just like, I could watch it a gazillion times over. I got it memorized. And it's
I think there's a good piece to the stuff about the one in that line or in that scene. He doesn't say that you don't know the power or you underestimate the power of the dark side. He said the technical next to the power of the force,
just
not
the
dark, the force.
Yeah.
So at that point, from what we saw in Revenge of the Sith to where he's in that meeting telling him shut up, like I think even within the force, he grew leaps and bounds, more holy because he used those words. And I'm not trying to be all, picking apart those words, but Lucas was very intentional in a lot of that stuff. Cam?
I kind of agree with Debbie and David. I think overall, I think until he finds out that Luke's his son, I feel like he's serving the Emperor because that's really all he has left, And I think his respect for Tarkin did play in part as well. But, he's serving the Emperor because, who else? Like, what else does he have to do,
True, and if there's going to be a way to save Padme or bring her back, as we see in the video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He needs the Emperor alive for now.
Oh yeah,
I would agree. So let's take it a little bit further. So when we have now that meeting, the first time we see the hologram of the Emperor, and he talks about the son of Anakin Skywalker is the one that blew it up. I think you're right. There's a moment there where he does kind of hesitate, and the Emperor senses that. Like he didn't sense who that kid was, but he did sense Anakin. And I think him sensing Anakin was important because of how that scene was delivered. You had him, the Emperor, are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you sure about this? And Vader, like, yeah, absolutely. I don't think so. I don't think he was sure. And
And I think that was a piece where, you know, that name no longer has any meaning to me, he says in ROTJ. But I don't know. What do you guys think? In that meeting, in that scene, was there a piece of him holding back from the Emperor?
I think he was mad, honestly. Like, I feel like that comic, the one where Boba Fett tells him his name too, I think, and he like crushes the glass with the Force, and he's like, he will be mine, you know? I mean, it's hard to think, like, I mean, when he's in that suit and the Emperor tells him that, you know, Padme is dead, you know, you killed her, he's like, well, now, like, I have nobody. And then once he finds out Luke's his kid, it's like, my family's still out there. And we kind of touched on last episode how much he cares for his family and people who he might view as family. So, I mean, the Emperor knows. I mean, I like that scene in Kenobi too, when you can tell, like, when the point of view switches to the Emperor, you just know, like, Vader was going on like a 5-minute rant about Kenobi getting away and all this stuff, and he's just like, I don't think your feelings are very clear on this, Lord Vader. Then he gets that Ian McDermott does that huge Emperor tone shift, you know, in his voice when you can tell he's being serious, and yeah, it's good stuff.
So, kind of jumping back and forth in the timeline, but seeing how this would have impacted, he knows it's his son the moment he hears the name, right? So rewind to the 501st and Lord Vader's first act, and of course we all know he's killing younglings, right? Do you think that him finding out he had a son created anything in him about that for those kids?
No,
not at that time, anyways, right? I mean,
well,
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Forever.
I mean, even when Padme mentions it on Mustafar, like he's like, Obi-Wan's told me terrible things, like you've killed younglings, and he's just looking at her like, it's what I had to do, you know.
Yeah.
Like I have to do this to save you. Like, I'm becoming more powerful than anyone's ever dreamed of, and I'm doing it for you. And then she's like, that doesn't sound like something you would really do. So, but no, I don't think at that point he would really have any. I feel like he was killing the younglings because it's just what he had to do, you know.
Yeah, I did a TikTok about this, and it was that when he was killing the younglings, he killed kids, but he was killing an ideal. Like, that's what he went to the temple to do, kill the ideal. So when you have now this spring of hope in Luke arriving, he thought he had, with Order 66 and the march and the continuing hunting and the Inquisitors and yada yada, that he had everything under control. But he didn't, did he? So bringing it all together to that anger, right? So when
she kept going back and forth, and I'm trying to hold her tail down. I'm like, dang it, cat.
You gotta get her own laptop.
So
I need to.
when I'm looking at some of the things, I had an outline to go through, but we're gonna jump off the outline a little. There's a lot of stuff you can get merchandise, right? Like I'm gonna like this Darth Vader's keys to success, right, or whatever. Just merchandise and things that in the universe of Star Wars, Vader marching on the temple created, I would assume, some buzz, right? About, oh my God, this new Sith Darth Vader and whatever. When he got into his suit, the look of him, the Empire, don't you think, used that to their advantage with propaganda and putting his face on posters? We can buy those kind of posters, but in that universe, don't you think that they would use that? And if so, how effective do you think that would be?
There was a book, a novel that came out shortly after Revenge of the Sith came out, and it was called Darth Vader: Rise of the Dark Lord. And it was basically, it was him hunting Jedi, basically, is what it really boiled down to.
I think I read that.
some Jedi that survived Order 66, and basically it was the Emperor putting him out there kind of as the face of the Empire. This is what the Empire. This is this is what you face if you don't fall in line, kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. Darth Vader is the hero of the Empire. He destroyed the Separatists. He brought peace and order to the galaxy, and his face is on the money and everything. So,
Do you think he was,
carve Mount Rushmore with his face on it? No?
Do you think, knowing what you know about, not knowing what you know now about what happens within Empire, when he is he's in his little chamber or whatnot, and he gets interrupted, right? And he gets pissed off because he gets interrupted. I always kind of thought like he was meditating and thinking about Luke, about this kid he has. Any thoughts, or am I the only one that thought that?
I agree.
Yeah. I think once you know about something like that, how can you get that off your mind? You thought you had no offspring. You thought you killed them. So now we got to look at, is there doubt now about his trust in the Emperor?
I think that just fed his anger. And the only reason I say that is because he knew that Obi-Wan had defeated him on Mustafar. He knew that Obi-Wan had taken Padme, and that obviously Padme had given birth. Mm-hmm. He knew that all the Emperor told him at the end of Revenge of the Sith was that Padme was dead. He didn't say anything about the kid being dead or anything like that. You know, nothing about that. His main concern at that point was Padme. And so he knew that there was also that scene in Revenge of the Sith where he says, Obi-Wan's been here, hasn't he? It's almost like, what have you got going on with Obi-Wan? And if the novel goes a little more into that, because Obi-Wan visits on several occasions without Anakin around. And so I think that just feeds his anger, as far as him saying, I've had this kid all the time. Now, knowing what we know now as far as the Obi-Wan series goes, I've just saw Obi-Wan not too awful long ago, and he knew I had a kid, and he's been hiding him from me. Mm-hmm. And I have now missed out on the last 19 years or however much of my kid's life. I missed out on his entire life. I could have had a child that propagated my family, and I just haven't. And yeah, I think he was pissed. And I don't think it was aimed at the Emperor. I think it was aimed at Obi-Wan.
I think you bring up a good point, though. I never thought of is, I mean, do you think it would have been different if Padme died, Luke, Leia were born, but he knew and had them? Do you think it would have changed the course of him going further into the dark side, or do you think it would have helped him be more like Anakin again?
No, it would have, because I mean, and he said it as much himself. You know, the Emperor has. You can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. Join me, and we can rule the galaxy together as father and son. So for him, that would have just been now I've created helpers to help me defeat the Emperor. And he even said it to Padme. You know, I can defeat the Emperor, and then we can rule the galaxy.
Yeah.
So
you got a good corruption bad.
Yeah. So no, I don't think it would have changed it at all.
No. I mean, I guess it's a nice thought that maybe the eyes of a child, you know, turn someone back nice and good. But no, instead his son tries to kill him. It's amazing. So we want to kind of move into that ROTJ piece. I find it interesting, like through everything, you've got Luke Skywalker showing up, you know, as this Jedi Knight, flashing his saber, proclaiming he's a Jedi Knight. And how long, and I'm not sure what the time was, but it had been a few years since even Jedi Knight was probably uttered on Tatooine. I mean, I'm assuming so. Last time that
it was bam, Obi-Wan slicing and dicing someone's arm off in the cantina, and then year or two later, or three, however long it was, here comes that farm boy. Now he's wielding one. They're multiplying. They're incessant. They keep coming at us. But I mean, I don't know, man. If I were sitting in Jabba's palace and some kid comes up like that, I mean, everyone knew who that kid was. He was Owen and whatever's kid. Like, he was just a farm boy. Everyone knew who he was. I don't know. I don't know that I would have been scared of him either. I mean, did he look scary as a Jedi Knight to you guys? Still whiny. Sorry, I get it.
Hey, you gotta stop hating on my guy, man.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
I love Luke at the beginning of Return of the Jedi. I thought he was a Sith when I first watched it as a kid because I associated kind of all black with Vader and dark side stuff. So, I mean, I had no idea. And then when he crushes Jabba's bodyguard or whatever, I was like, oh man. But then the scene kind of plays out.
That explained that it wasn't Force choke. It was Jedi mind trick making him think he was choking. I'm like, guys, Luke, he didn't have a master, man. Like, he was winging it. Yeah. I mean, but that's a good point. Like, was he winging it? I mean, we know from some of the what books canon and what's not anymore. I don't know. But we do know that he did have access to or gained access to Obi-Wan's stuff, right? He goes back to Obi-Wan's place and he does have some means of direction to start training himself. Had things been different, I keep going back to this, at the end of Empire, and maybe Luke doesn't get his hand chopped off, maybe he does accept his father's proposal. How do you think that would have ended? Would they have gone against the Emperor and overtaken him? Or do you think the Emperor at that point would have already known what was coming?
I mean, I kind of feel like we're getting, if Luke accepts, Vader's offer, I feel like he's hiding away for a couple of years. Full on like Star Killer type vibe, like training under Vader. I mean, Vader's gonna groom him because Vader knows what it takes to defeat the Emperor, and he knows he can't do it for obvious limitations. And so I think he's taking Luke to Mustafar or somewhere and just training for multiple years before they face the Emperor. So.
I just don't know that he would have, and I'm not hating on your guy. I don't know how strong he would have been to be able to withstand whatever. I mean, we saw what Starkiller went through. I mean,
even after multiple years of training, like, you don't think after training with his dad, training in the dark side. I mean, I don't know. I think he'd be pretty strong.
When the dark side is the quicker path. No, not more powerful.
Quicker, easier, more seductive.
Oh my goodness. So at what point, it's very clear he's pissed, and especially when he gets tagged in the arm. Like, that's one of my favorite parts of Empire, where they're and he gets pissed off again at his son, and that's when he, whatever, and chops his hand off. But this is where I get a little with Rey too. Really? I mean, you're that great of a swordsman that you outdueled Darth Vader? Come on, man. Well, outduel, but you know what I mean. You got a hit on his arm. Give me a break. I just don't see that. I don't see it.
If this will add to the theory, or if this will add to your acceptance of that, here's what I see. I see watching the entire duel. I see Vader toying with Luke like a lot, like him just yes, you fight well, and all of that toying. At some point, he let his defenses down, and Luke was panicked at that point. And even if you get a panicked animal into a corner, it's going to do everything that it can to get out of that corner. And even if it's something wild, yeah, he probably did. He probably got lucky. It was a lucky shot. And Vader was, I think the reason he got mad, he wasn't mad at Luke for hitting him. He was mad at himself for letting his guard, like, idiot, I shouldn't have done that. Now I look like a jackass. I'm going to.
It's like when I'm playing Call of Duty and I go, that's it. And I kind of reposition myself. Let's go.
We're going to go hard this time. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's notorious for playing with his food in a sense when he doesn't really fear kind of the duelist he's fighting against. I mean, you can even see it in the Jedi Survivor game when he's fighting Seer again for the second time. You know, I mean, he might take her a little bit more serious, but I mean, he's known for, I mean, even in the Kenobi show, that first fight when they first see each other again, like he doesn't really see Obi-Wan as a threat, even despite kind of past events. And I agree with David. I mean, eventually a panic animal is going to cut you once. So
what changed? That join me, whatever, to ROTJ where he's like, all right, I'm just going to kill you. Or was he, all right, I'm just going to kill you? Do you think he was going easy on him, toying with him as well then?
I don't think he was going to kill him.
I think it was more of a, well, because he even said it, you know, you'll be forced to destroy me. Well, if that's your destiny, if that's the way fate's going to hand it to you, then that's the way fate's going to hand it to you.
Yeah, when he said that, though, when he left, right, this was on the platform when he said that, right? I could be wrong. But when they have that meeting on the platform and he turns his back to Vader and he's, you know, got his arms over it, you constructed a new lightsaber, your skills are complete. He trusted that Vader wasn't just going to cut him down. And what I saw is a parallel in Revenge of the Sith, where Home Skillet Emperor does the, or Senator or whatever, Chancellor Palpatine does the same thing to Anakin, turns his back on him and trusts him. But his hand was shaking. Ian McDermott's a freaking great actor. Shaking that hand like he's ready to flick out that saber, though we didn't know why he was shaking his hand at that time. Oh, I mean, he's just a great actor. Sorry, sidebar. So anyhow, I don't know. What do you guys think about that piece?
I think.
Go ahead, Debbie.
Or Revenge or Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both hoping to turn the other. Mm-hmm. Luke is still hoping to turn his father to the good side, and Vader is still hoping to rule the galaxy with his son. So I think that's still in both of their minds. I think that's what's going on there. I don't think either one wants to kill each other. They're still hoping to turn each other.
I find it interesting too that Vader used that to it was almost like Luke had almost convinced him, but he changed the subject kind of thing, because he says, that's why you won't bring me to your, that's why you couldn't destroy me before, and that's why you won't bring me to your emperor now. And at that point he had turned his back, and instead of answering that retort, he just flicks on the lightsaber. I see you've constructed a new light. It's like, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what I want to talk about, kind of thing. I'm gonna change the subject because we're getting too deep here, kind of thing. So you built a new lightsaber. Hey, it looks pretty good. You know, hey.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my
boy, son.
Yeah, I feel like he eventually finally just has to tell Luke, like, I mean, it's too late for me. Like,
yeah,
like there is no hope for me, and I don't know why you're feeling this type of hope for me, you know.
But that's one of the biggest that series of lines there. That's one of the biggest flaws, and I know I'm saying this wrong on the Sith Dominion and everything, but to me, that's one of the biggest flaws in all of the Sith. Because he sits there and he says, you don't know the power of the dark side. And then he follows it up with, I must obey my master. It's like, you don't know how powerful I am. But I got to answer to this guy up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Palpatine knew that, which is why he put him in that suit the way he did. We know that.
When is Tech worse than Grievous, right?
He what?
Like the suit tech was worse than what Grievous got, I think.
Probably. I mean,
I
Grievous
think so.
just had little tiny stuff around his little tiny organs.
Yeah,
I think if you read into the comic books and some of the other novels too, I think it even says that because Anakin was technically savvy, he was upgrading his suit to where it was better than what it was when, he got it in Revenge of the Sith and it was a piece of crap, but by the time you get to Jedi, it's like we're peak Vader kind of thing.
Yeah. So he does on that platform when he gets his son taken away. What's he thinking? What's going through his head? Because there's that moment right at the end where he kind of takes that deep breath and he's sitting there leaning on the edge. What's he thinking? What's going through his head?
Anakin came back.
You think Anakin came back for a sec?
I don't know if I think you started to see Anakin re-emerging. I think it was just kind of a process, and I think the duel between Vader and Luke at that point had begun, and Luke was winning. Even though sabers had not been crossed, I think the mental duel was on. Vader strikes back eventually, and we'll get your sister. Well, if you can't be turned, then maybe she will. And Luke goes bat crap crazy.
Oh yeah,
so
he's tiptoeing the dark side there, absolutely.
So,
well, I also feel like too that I think Vader was kind of seeing Luke's resolve, and was like he. Pre kind of mentioning Leia, I think Vader kind of felt Luke's determination to turn like Vader back to the light, and I feel like when they started dueling, he kind of understood I guess how serious Luke was about it. So I think I misunderstood my earlier comment was kind of what comes after the duel. That was kind of when I was referring to when Anakin comes back, but so
I got you. Yeah, on the platform, he says, I think you're right. He heard in Return of the Jedi, you hear Anakin Skywalker a couple of times. You hear that name, and when he says it, you're only Anakin Sky. You've only forgotten. And he goes, that name no longer. He gets pissed. Like, I don't want to talk about that weak little piece of garbage that cried all the time because his woman was having a little side gig with Obi-Wan. No, like that little guy came out in him, and I think he didn't know how long had it been since that came out, and I think it was a slow gurgle, bubbling stream, but real slow, that started when he found out he had a son. And any of us that are parents or have a father know that there's just something different about you when you know you're in some way, form, or fashion responsible for this other human, Do you think any of that played into I guess when I see it, I think, man, he must have been kind of proud on some level that his son believed so strongly in him. Like, that had to have touched him, I would think. He's the only one that believed that he was still Anakin underneath. The only one.
Obi-Wan once thought as you did.
Yeah. And then, but he's more man than machine. He'd be like, no. And Leia's face, it's like, Vader is your father. Like, he's like,
she's pissed because he Vader destroyed everything that she knew. I mean, an entire, not just you're talking genocide on a planetary level, as it were. So
the only people that were alive were like folks on a ship somewhere. Like,
people that weren't on the planet at the time.
That's nuts. And to be responsible for that, he clearly didn't have Anakin front and center in his mind as those things were happening. My question is, in those scenes with them so close to one another, literally he's holding her, how did he not feel her presence in the Force?
As far as Leia goes,
Yeah. I always wondered that. Was there ever an explanation to that we know of?
I don't think she used the Force that much.
Well, but I don't know that she knew that she was Force sensitive, but
She didn't. So,
but others would know if one was Force sensitive. The Jedi used to go get kids, steal children.
well, and I mean Vader even when he was flying against Luke at the Death Star, it was like, oh,
The Force
the Force is strong with this one. I mean, it's not. He's like, okay, as far as Force goes, yeah, okay, it's not a big deal. The Force is strong with you, but there's a little bit of Force in everybody. I like to harken back to the old. They had the trading card game, the Star Wars TCG back in the late '90s, early 2000s, and every character had a Force sensitivity. Mm-hmm. Now you could be like the lowest of the low, but you still had that Force sensitivity. I mean, life creates it; it surrounds us and binds.
Yes.
That's everybody, everything. Yep. I see life, I see death, and what do you see in between it? The Force.
The Force.
So yes, for him to sit there and look at Leia and say, "Gosh, the Force is kind of strong with her." Yeah, sure, I can see that happening. I don't see him necessarily making a familial connection because the Force is there with her, but it's not. She obviously got her mother's genes and not my genes, as it were. So
yeah. I always wondered if they were twins, how they could sense each other, and we finally see that in Empire, right? And in the same way in which he reached out to Leia, so too his daddy reaches out to him. Like, I thought that was creepy as crap as a kid. Like, oh, cool, he makes the connection to her, and oh, that's wonderful. And wait, what? Oh God, and that's what happens in Jedi, right? He knows. Oh, Vader's on that ship. He knows, and maybe you're onto. Well, I know you're onto something, because the more sensitive you are in the Force, then the more attuned you are to what's happening around you and how the Force is flowing and whatnot. So that makes total sense. Total sense. Man, Vader. So moving to that last scene. So he gets all pissed off, Luke, and starts, and just hammering his dad, and his dad's Vader's falling down. Why didn't Vader just Force choke and lift Luke? Was he that distracted to try to protect himself? Help me understand that. What was going on? Did he just not want to kill his son at that point?
That was part of that was part of the Anakin reemerging.
Yeah, he's not going to kill him or do anything to even put Luke in harm's way. I feel like at that point.
Yeah,
that is why you couldn't destroy me now, and that is.
That's why you couldn't destroy me, and why you won't take me to your
emperor now.
That's right.
I mean, Luke knows, like he, in some sense, maybe being blood related through the Force somehow. I mean, he knows, like the Emperor can feel Vader's feelings. I feel like to a certain extent due to like their friendship and those type of things. But I feel like at that point, I feel like Luke kind of had he knows, especially with Anakin kind of reemerging toward the later end of their confrontation. Like he knows at that point, like he's not going to do anything to harm me.
Yeah, I think Vader, for me, it's like, I'm not going to be the one that does it.
Yeah,
I can't do it. I can't kill my son. But then he, in the same thought, it's like, well, he's letting the Emperor go.
I can't let my son be killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lets the Emperor go at him. I mean, electrifying him. We're seeing in his skeleton appear
until Luke says, "Father, please." Right.
Father,
Luke
please.
begs him, and then he's like, "Oh, ding! Wait a minute. Maybe I should step in here." What? I don't know. I don't think he thought things through. I don't think it was one of those car mom situations, right, where the mom gets adrenaline and just lifts up it like the car to save her kid. I've always viewed that piece of the movie as he didn't know what he was doing other than saving his kid. He didn't know the lightning was going to kill him. He wasn't sacrificing himself intentionally. All he knew was, I got to save my kid. And I want to know how you guys think about that piece.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think most parents would.
The repercussions be damned, whatever happens. I'm not even thinking about what might happen to me.
What might happen to me, so long as Samuel or so long as Luke is safe. Yeah.
See, I wouldn't do that for my dogs, but I would do that for
wouldn't either. You want to shoot your cat? You want to shoot my dogs?
Debbie, would you do that for your kitty? The one that just knocked.
Yeah, it depends on what she's doing.
I've got news for you. We had a dog once that had a herniated disc in his back. The vet said, we're going to try the steroids, and if the steroids don't work, we're going to have to spend $3,000 on some therapy for him and surgery and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how much to put him down? $150. I'm calling my wife. This dog's about to die. Because I'm not spending $3,000 on no dog.
I mean, there is a limit.
Don't look at me like that. It's an animal.
I'm not even a dog person. I'm not even a dog person, and I feel bad.
I don't. It's replaceable.
Man,
Dang,
all right.
That's tough. That's tough right there.
That's why he's Darth Vader.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my dog right now, and I'm like, $3,000. I mean, might have to.
If my house was on fire, and as long as my youngest son lives with me, so if he was out, but I knew my cat was still in here, yeah, I'm going back in. I'm going back in.
I'm not that heartless. I'm not. Okay, I'll run in and save the dog from that's a cruel way to die. But if it's medically something that, you can fix him and he might get another year or two out. It's like $3,000 isn't worth it for another year for me.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
Debbie, what's your favorite moment, Darth Vader moment from Empire to ROTJ in those two films?
Good Lord.
Cam, I'll let you think on it, unless you got it.
Thank you.
Cam?
My favorite scene, I mean, there's a couple, but I would say my first one, because I kind of have differing thoughts on it, is when Luke realizes that the Emperor was 2 steps ahead and grabs his lightsaber, ignites it, quote unquote, tries to, strike the Emperor down, and Vader either saves the Emperor or saves Luke from striking the Emperor down, preventing Luke from falling to the dark side. So I think those are that's probably my fave moment, other than when Luke finds him in Cloud City and he's just sitting atop of the stairs, pitch black. You can just kind of see his outline. I kind of like that too. But no, the throne room scene is probably my favorite.
Well, and we go from A New Hope of, this guy's kind of a bad guy, but someone else is pulling the strings, to holy crap, he's a silhouette atop stairs. He learned his lesson, at least at that point.
He's a silhouette atop stairs with his own theme music.
Yes,
that is a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
Well, I also feel like too, when we find out that, because I mean, at that point, if you'd only watched A New Hope, like, you kind of hear Obi-Wan talk glowingly about Anakin, and then now that we're kind of making the connection that those two are one and the same, and you're like, how is the guy that Obi-Wan said was a great friend, best star pilot in the galaxy, and all of that is now this monster in this black suit, So,
yeah. Debbie.
Well, I mean, the moments that Cam mentioned, but I always liked it, and I don't know if snarky is the right word, but I like it when he's snarky. When he said, in the meeting in Empire, and then I still giggle when this scene comes on, but and it's probably not intentional, but in my mind, when they're dueling and Luke jumps up on the upper platform and he says, Obi-Wan has taught you well. High ground. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm just thinking, yeah, that's Vader being snarky.
Okay, but real quick, I love that you brought that up, because who of us ran outside after we saw that and tried to do the lightsaber throw? Because we had never seen a lightsaber be thrown, and that was insane. Mm-hmm. What? It stays lit without holding it, and yeah, that was.
But
awesome.
That makes sense, because you would think, okay, we got to push a button. It's not like we're gonna have to sit there and fight continually holding a button. Otherwise, it's not going to.
It's not like a power drill. You got to keep holding it
until the battery runs out, or we got to recharge.
Yeah.
What do you got, Darcy?
Favorite scene between Empire and Jedi?
Yeah.
Probably two. In Empire, the scene with the Emperor, where he's talking to the Emperor, and the only reason I say that is because that is the one thing in the special editions that I like that they did, and that was replacing or putting Ian McDermott in where Ian McDermott needed to be put in.
Instead of the
old lady.
The old lady.
I'm very much against, and Debbie knows this, I'm very much against Hayden in Return of the Jedi. I think that was bupkis. I think that was an insult to Sebastian Shaw, who played him initially. Not Sebastian Stan. Get off of it, Debbie.
Wait, isn't Sebastian Shaw on your list? No,
So, but I thought it was an insult to him, and I really didn't care for it too much. But putting Ian in, he was the Emperor. So you at this point you've had the prequel trilogies, you've had Return of the Jedi, who that was him. So it only made sense that they replaced him with Ian McDermott. So I would say that one for Empire, and then maybe for Jedi. I'd say for Jedi, the two landing sequences on the Death Star. The first one with Moff Jerjerrod. The Death Star will be completed there.
The Emperor's coming here.
Yeah, the Emperor's coming here, and he is most displeased with your apparent lack of progress.
Absolutely.
The Emperor is not as forgiving as I am. And we know from Empire that
dude just goes through. Yeah.
I'm gonna die. He goes through officers like they're like I go through underwear kind of thing. So
Piet was on the fast track, y'all. He was in the right place at the right time every time.
So Jerjerrod, and especially when he says that, and Jerjerrod got this nervous, and he's he does the big swallow.
Yes,
it's like, oh my gosh, worse than you. I'm getting off light right here, and now this is worse than you. So, and then of course the one with the Emperor, where the Emperor actually lands, and he's addressing the Emperor, and just the way he's looking at him. David Prowse does something that Pedro Pascal did with The Mandalorian, where there's he's wearing a mask, but you can almost see emotion in the mask, and it's almost like the Emperor gets off, and he's like looking at him like, "We're gonna be done on time. I promise you. And he's got this look like, "Trust me, everything's gonna be." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, you've done well, Lord Vader."
Good. My friend, he says, even then, my friend. Yeah.
And now I sense you wish to continue your search for young Skywalker.
I want to make sure.
Well, since Dave brought it up,
sweet.
My favorite scene in Return of the Jedi. Hayden Christensen.
Oh my goodness! Are you doing that to poke the Darth Zane David Bear, or
yes, that's exactly what
I'm just saying.
Really believe that? Yeah.
Yes. it makes perfect sense. It connects everything. Yes.
Well, how come Obi-Wan's old? and
Yeah.
Yoda's
Because he was
old?
a Jedi when he was old. Anakin wasn't.
See, I
Yes,
made that
It
argument
goes
for
back
years.
to when he was truly a good guy, when he was truly a Jedi. And
But
that
he-
was when he was younger before he turned to the dark side.
And I'm 100% for the last ever on board with that. But
all I
Like-
wanted to see when Hayden Christensen popped up as the Force Ghost. When he popped up as the Force Ghost, I wanted all those little youngling kids as Force Ghosts popping up going, guess who's back? And we ain't dying this time.
he saved his father. Luke saved his father. He didn't save young Anakin. He saved his father. So at the very end, that's when he should have been now. I mean, forever. I always lean that way, Debbie. Now it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm really torn with that.
And you
Not
would
my
be-
favorite scene because it makes me just feel weird. I don't know what to do with it.
I cried when they did that. I
Nah.
still cry when that scene comes up when I watch that movie here at home.
I cried too, but I think for different reasons.
Yeah, I tear up. I
Like,
tear up because I'm like, that's the
What
way it
is
should be.
happening?
what are you doing? Stop.
Oh my
Y'all
goodness! And then
wrong.
the face he makes, it doesn't even really look like him.
No,
I
it
mean,
doesn't.
it's like
He's
Like,
kind
I
of got
don't
this
know.
like.
yes,
Well, the thing is that George just took something from
It was like a stock.
because
Oh.
Hayden didn't even know about it until he had seen it.
Oh,
It was
wow.
like
Yeah.
footage from the
And George even says, "This makes
Oh my goodness!
so."
George says this makes sense, but he also said Jar Jar is going to be the key to all of this. So
Right, he was.
Me lead. Well, yeah, he was kind of.
He's the one that did it.
he's the Sith. Well, and he's the Sith Lord that no
No,
one knows
he
about.
just
Yes,
he's the one that basically put Palpatine in power.
He's the
So
one
he
that
was-
voted emergency powers.
That had nothing to do. That it was Jar Jar being he was just talking about Jar Jar being a fully animated character, CGI character. If you watch the making of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, he talks about that. And if Jar Jar doesn't work as a CGI character, then this doesn't work. Which he said the same thing about Yoda being a puppet too. But
Yeah, I'm glad they fixed all that. Jeez. Cam, I have to call out that bit. I've always looked at that scene as he was saving the Emperor because he wanted to fight him to try to turn him. But what you say makes, I think, even a little more sense that, one, if he does strike down the Emperor, that's a whole nother bag of, or can of worms, satchel of caterpillars. No, I don't know. It's a whole nother
Bag of
thing. But what?
A bag of sand.
A bag of sand.
I don't
Oh,
like
yes, of
sand.
course. He really doesn't now. It really gets in everywhere. So I never really looked at it that way. And I think that's an interesting perspective because then it becomes, I have hope for you, son, and I know either A, you're going to strike him down and be all evil, or two, he's going to like shock you. Bam. Like he's trying to coerce you and coax you into doing this. And he knows because he saw the crap happen. So yeah. Man,
I mean, that's kind of where I got that thought from. I feel like during Luke's entire interaction with the Emperor, I feel like Vader's kind of having memories of Revenge of the Sith, essentially, and prior moments before that. And I mean, I have no real, I don't believe one way or the other. It's just kind of like an interesting thought that maybe he didn't want Luke to go down the same path he did, whereas he still wants Luke to join him to defeat the Emperor, but maybe not that way per se. I don't know. Just kind of a
it
headcanon
plays into
theory I've got.
Yeah, I think it plays into the stuff we talked about being the one and what that really means too. Having himself still be kind of dark side and Luke being light side. As long as he was alive, there was balance.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that he died, there was no longer any balance whatsoever. Because now you just have two Jedi in Luke and then eventually Leia. And whoever else is running around out there, gosh, they can
Ahsoka, Ezra,
yeah,
they're all running around.
That we
yeah.
think of.
Well, that's
Sabine apparently.
yeah. What? But they wouldn't develop Finn into some force sensitive character.
I know, right? Jeez, what's up with
I was
that?
begging for that.
Ray, I have something to tell you. Ray, I have something to tell you.
I know. Just stop already. Just give it to us.
Hey, just don't get me started on that film, please. I'm trying to enjoy my holidays.
So next week we're gonna kind of go for future Vader. We're gonna talk about where kind of go into where he's been put into Ahsoka or these other shows, and kind of where the future may go with him. You don't like it? Cam shaking his head.
It just certain things just don't make any sense for me with
I
the
think
Ahsoka show.
Cam's gonna sit out the next show.
No, I'm coming in. I got thoughts. I mean, I'm not mad at more Vader content by any means, but it just makes. I'll save it for next week. I'm sure Dana will ask.
And any Vader content I can get, but I gotta tell you, it was quite cringy in Rogue One, where he tells Director Krennic not to choke on his aspirate. Oh God, I couldn't.
Snarky. I loved it.
Like it.
You don't like that line? I feel like that's a very Vader like line, in my opinion.
There's another one. I need another example than that.
Well, it's like when he walks into the Jedi Temple where Seer's at, and she's like, "I thought you died when we blew a hole in your underwater base," and he's like, "It is delusion to think your actions have had any consequence." And I'm just like,
or I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Yeah.
I find your lack of faith disturbing. Come on, snarky. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Come on.
You're gonna come around. Go rewatch it.
I watched it today.
Yeah.
I watched Rogue One today. Just today. Yeah.
I watched it a couple weeks ago. Right now, I'm on a Lord of the Rings run. So
same.
It's a Christmas movie.
One of the non-Christmas Christmases. Absolutely. Man, I wanted to kind of close out with some thoughts on Vader in the original trilogy. When at the very end, when he is redeemed and saved by his son, could he have been redeemed any other way than killing the emperor and not killing his son? Was there any other thing he could have potentially possibly done? And there's actually some folks that say, well, redeemed or not, he killed a ton of people. Like, who was it? One of you guys just said about the younglings. Why didn't they appear? Frowned him like, what's up, dude? So, what are y'all's thoughts about how all that kind of played out at the very, very end there? I know we started talking about the Force Ghost, but I mean, really, what else is there for him? How else could he have been saved?
I don't think there's any other option for him, honestly. I think the fact that, Luke told Obi-Wan that there's still good in him, you know what I mean? And I think the fact that Luke believed in him and was able to, I don't think there's any other way for him to be redeemed, because Luke was, and Leia to a certain extent, but Luke at the time was the only hope that the Jedi had, because when Luke's like, I won't go fight him, Obi-Wan, and he's like, well, then I guess the Emperor's already won.
You were our last hope.
Yeah.
Even though Ahsoka and Ezra and a few others
no,
Grogu's around somewhere,
Yeah, but no, I don't think there's any other way for Vader to be redeemed. And I even still think if he lives, they're still trying that man as a war criminal in the New Republic for sure.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
And I think that
what would have happened?
I think
he would have had to have run away. He would have had to have run away to a planet called South America and lived out his life in the jungles out there.
Not the deserts of the Sahara, the jungles of South
jungles.
America. Although that moisture starts messing with circuit boards after a while, you got to be careful.
Or you get the sand in the circuit boards, you get dust all over.
It's a no-win situation.
It's rough and coarse and gets into everything, you know.
How about you two? Was there any other way, or was there any final thoughts about that redemption piece or that arc?
I don't
think so.
I think it kind of even mirrors Christianity in a sense, to where it's like it's there's no redemption without some kind of sacrifice,
Sure.
And even if it's the ultimate sacrifice, a life given for the lives of many, then yeah, I think that's where it boils down to. No, there's no other way.
Hmm. Wow. Debbie, any party thoughts on that?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everybody. There wasn't not another path.
So we know that he grabs a hold of the Emperor, knowing, not even caring about what's happening. Do you feel that Luke went there fully prepared to change his father, but also prepared to do what had to be done, if not?
I think so.
I think
he would have killed Vader.
I think it was. I honestly think it was. I'm either going to change him, or there was three options. I'm going to change him, or I'm going to die trying, or I'm going to have to kill him.
Mm-hmm. So what happened in that moment where he's hammering him, and then he's like, "Good, strike, kill him." What happened? He looks at his hand and all these things, and there's these parallels. What happened in Luke's mind to make him turn off that switch?
Because he cut off his dad's hand, realizing
he was
his dad had done the same to him, and the cycle continues.
And his face was in the dark side cave. His face was who he chopped off.
Yeah. That was it. There's a documentary, and it's on YouTube now. It used to be on. I've still got it on VHS. From Star Wars to Jedi: The Making of a Saga, and Mark Hamill actually narrates it, and they talk about that scene on Dagobah with where the thing goes off, and he talks about the symbolism of it. And I've heard a lot of different theories and a lot of different stories. Oh, well, it means this, it means that, it means this. But I think that one was the biggest one, to where it's Luke holds all the potential in the world for good or for bad. He just has to choose the right way. I mean, he could be as bad as Vader. That's why, Vader was underneath the mask, or he could be as good as he needed to be and defeat Vader. So
that was a huge thing when I saw that the first time, of, oh my God, he's not going to kill his dad. What? Like I couldn't believe that was happening. And I think it was because I felt as if you were not going to be able to turn him, you had to kill him. But then if he kills him, take your father's place at my side. Like, maybe when he heard that, saw the hand matching, and yeah, because
I'm going to take his father's place at my side.
Yeah, I don't know that I want that. So what alternative did he have in that moment but to either fall on his sword and just give up, or no, I'm going to stand my ground? I feel like Anakin was that type of, I'm going to stand my ground. I believe in the Republic. I believe in the Senators, and now I believe in Palpatine. Like, there was a long road to have him be that loyal to Palpatine. And then when you take that last scene where he's about to be either become Vader's replacement, kill Vader, or he took the ore. And I just didn't expect that in the movie. I thought for sure he was going to kill his dad. No.
No,
I mean, maybe that's just my own past, like, creeping on me.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You're going to kill your dad? What?
No, I don't. I'm just, things aren't great. And, I can see, like, oh. No. Man. Yeah, everyone. No one wants to touch that one, huh? So,
Yeah.
nope. I'm not. David's like, I'm out.
Nope, I'm done.
Oh my goodness. Well, we do this a little over an hour. We could keep going, but it is late for me, and I do have to work tomorrow. So I think we'll want to wrap it up. But we want to wrap it up with two things. First, I'd like to take just a moment to thank Debbie for everything she does over at our organization, GNN, everything. And every time I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Can someone just do it and not tell me how to do it? Just do it. And she just does it.
Do it.
Do it. But it is her birthday today, and we are very excited to be celebrating that with me. If not, okay.
Tomorrow's my birthday.
Okay, well, tomorrow's her birthday, but there's no show.
Happy early birthday.
Well, I think it started with Alex, who lives in Australia. So today is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. It's already her birthday
So
in Australia.
technically for him, it is my birthday. But once he started, when he posted that,
It's all
then
over.
everybody was like, happy birthday. I was like, people who know me, it's
Like,
2
my
days
birthday's
after
tomorrow. What's wrong with you?
It didn't pop on my Facebook thing, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
It will tomorrow.
it will tomorrow.
So
The
you
big
have two
6-0.
birthdays. And so today's really your unbirthday, and tomorrow's
Yes,
your
it's
birthday.
my
Well, a very unbirthday to you.
Thank
That's
you.
not this show. Oh my goodness. Happy birthday for tomorrow then. And I'm sorry you're born around this time, because that usually means December kids don't get as many presents because,
Oh, it
my
was great
sister-
when I was a kid, but now it's like, oh, here's your birthday and your Christmas.
Eh,
Your birthday.
eh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah.
screwed.
I'm sorry. There should be 2 bottles of wine.
Make that rum. I'm not a.
Okay. We'll do rum. No, seriously.
Rum and
Thank you
Coke.
for everything you do, Debbie. You're amazing. So next week we're gonna kind of pick up, like I was saying, I'm sorry. Okay. R2 beeps and I have to look at it. What was I saying? Oh, so next week we're gonna talk about the side shows, not the side show. You know what I'm saying? Other shows, and then the future, because we already know, like, Ahsoka season 2, whatever. Like, Vader is going to be in that. We know this. Yeah, and there's more stuff that Hayden's been. They've been hinting at, and that he's signed on for, or whatever. So, I'd like to kind of kick that stuff around and talk about some of the stuff they did, some of the stuff they might be doing, in which Cam is already cracking his neck for next week.
I've got thoughts.
Awesome. I think I might bring Ambrose on for that. This would be super fun. So we're gonna
I'm out.
kill it for this evening. What happened? Okay. Let's wrap it up. Are you guys gonna be on next week? If not, that's cool. If so, we hope to see you. I'll send out the wait, we have to keep it this group, because it's been this group every time. No offense to all you other folks out there. Like 3 other people were like, I want to talk about Vader.
Well, you should have started it the first then.
That's what I'm saying. Other guests like that have been on in the past. Yeah.
Because they're going to want to come on and, what about when Vader said this in Empire? We talked about that last week.
Yeah, last week. Yeah. You got to stick with it, because then we can reference the other show too. Like, hey, remember when Debbie said, yeah, that's right. And then Cam, yeah. So yeah, you don't want to be left out. You'd be the 5th wheel. Wait, those are actually kind of cool. All right. I hope everyone has a continued happy holiday. Be safe on New Year's, please. And happy Boxing Day to all of you in the Commonwealths and whatnot that may celebrate that still-ish. I don't know. I just know it's Boxing Day. I don't even know what that's for. No one does. Okay. We're Americans. We don't celebrate that. All right.
It's for throwing all the boxes away.
Is that
I'm gonna say I put all mine in the recycling today. So
Yeah.
brilliant? It should be
Makes perfect
Unboxing
sense,
Day.
right?
You box all the stuff up and put it in the attic. That's what Boxing Day is. All right, folks. It was super fun. we will reconvene next week and we'll continue the conversation about Darth Vader. Yeah. Oh, one last thing. Remember, kids. Wait, not yet, because we will be back next week. I don't know. You guys were on to something about taking a week or two off. Maybe
we're MCU Mondays.
There we go.
We'll be back on January the 8th.
Okay.
Where we're going to be talking about the What If series that's playing on Disney Plus right now.
Ooh.
And then Cantina Happy Hour will be back on the 11th. And we're discussing everyone's favorite, the first Ewok movie. The first Ewok movie.
I got to watch that yet. I forgot all about that.
I can't believe I remember that. Oh, and then they turn it into a show?
No, they made another movie. They made two of them. There's the Caravan of Courage and the Battle for Endor.
Wow.
So yeah, it was
pretty terrible.
Not quite holiday special, but it's.
Gotcha.
Oh, and I've got. Speaking of which, I got a movie for Christmas too. It's called A Disturbance in the Force. The behind the scenes of the Star Wars holiday special. It's basically how and why they created the Star Wars holiday special, 1978 holiday special. And as soon as I can get my kids off the PlayStation because they're playing all their video games, I'm going to sit down and watch it. And it'll be amazing.
Heck
so,
yeah. What other shows do we have? Is everyone on hiatus this week then?
I don't know about Geek Gauntlet.
On Saturday?
I can't say.
Well, this is why you should like and subscribe. Hit that notification button because then you know when we are or are not broadcasting live.
That's right.
Especially around the holidays. I don't get a break because I took a break earlier in the year. So there we have it. I promise I'll write another article, David. I swear. Not for Grand Poobah. At some point. It's been a crazy month though. But folks, thank you. I'll close it out. I'm just babbling now. And remember, kids, peace is a lie. There's only passion. Good night.